the fact that the Italian design was so successful was related to three main elements. There are much more, but just to focus on the three main components. Of course, one, if you go to the upper part of this triangular art, yeah, aesthetics, good taste, Italian style is something that's related to our culture, I would say. So we had the Renaissance. We have beautiful cities. We are surrounded by beauty. So there is always an effort to produce something that is beautiful. And this element was not just a cultural element, so related to intellectuals, but also to entrepreneurs. The fact that managers, entrepreneurs, they want to produce something that is beautiful. Not just is a good product from an economic point of view, but it's beautiful. There's something very attention towards aesthetics. The other two elements probably are the more economic. One is the local culture. What I mean by local culture? Industrial district. So we have here a very specialized industrial base in producing different products. So, if you had the chance to look at the celebrities for the Oscar nominations and in the red carpet, the 90% of the celebrities, especially women, they're dressing Italian shoes. And those shoes are not produced all over Italy, but they are concentrated in an area that is not far from Venice. It's about 30 kilometers, called Riviera del Brenta. Riviera is meaning like just the river, and around the river, Brenta, that is coming in the Venetian lagoon. They are very high-end districts where they produce fantastic female shoes. And they have such a great culture and great capabilities. So a lot of the Italian design is related to artisans and artisans' practice. So you can produce beautiful products because they are artisans that are able to interpret the design in sense of the drawings of the design and transform that into a beautiful product. But not just transform, they are also giving a lot of advice to the designers to develop a much beautiful product and much adapted, of course, to the feet of women. So that was a key element. It's not by chance that Louis Vuitton now established its headquarters for shoes here in Italy, in the Riviera del Brenta, in the district, because they want to get close to this culture. That is, for if you have even great brands, Dolce & Gabbana, Valentino, they're designing shoes, even Gucci and so on. But those shoes are not, even though you have a designer, also a famous designer, he or she doesn't know how to make a shoe. She doesn't have the culture, she doesn't have the knowledge. So they're making drawings, but those drawings have to be interpreted by artisans that are able to transform that into a final product. There's a lot of changes. I had the chance to visit the archives of Ferret. Ferret is a very important fashion design. Was very important. Now it's a brand. But if you look at the drawings by Gianfranco Ferret and the final dress that was produced by the sartoria, where the tailors, was completely different. Why? Because that drawing has to be mediated by the work of artisan practice. Because the way you design it is not the way you can do it. So you need a lot of adaptation. So a transformation. So a lot of the design is not related just to the designer. It's not just up to the designer himself or herself, but it's much more complex system. Even the artisans are part of the division of the creative labor. So they are part of the creative process, although they are not creative, as you may imagine, but they are part of the creativity. So creativity in the Italian terms is distributed. It's not just up to the designer herself. It's a more complex system. And so this local culture is crucial. It's not by chance that Louis Vuitton moved its headquarters for shoes here. Because you want to produce beautiful shoes, you need to have a great, capabilities and knowledge in how you build the shoe by hand. Something hard to replicate. And the third element is customer intimacy. That's a very crucial element. Italian customer is very demanding, especially for fashion, furniture, food. So selling to Italians was really difficult for Italian companies. If you're going to visit a lot of companies, they're going to say, selling to Italians, those things, it's very hard. It's like selling a motorbike to a Japanese. It has to be fantastic. Then you can export easily. That's a very important element. So because we have this customer base so demanding in those industries, for the concept of fare bella figura in fashion is crucial. It's not just something that you want to dress up, but it's more a complex phenomenon. So dress is important, socially important. And so customers are very demanding. So working with a very high sophisticated customer base was very helpful for our company because you have to improve. And so that really was a key issue for our companies to differentiate the product much more, to improve the quality, and then you can export more easily. So it's kind of a lab. You may imagine, the Italian market like a lab. So you can improve. Okay, it's not good enough, so you have to improve it. So it's hard now. Selling a piece of furniture to an Italian guy, it's hard. It's very hard. Selling a piece of fashion is hard because he knows the quality of the fabric. So it's difficult. And that was really important because that helped a lot. Consider there is a fantastic book. Unfortunately, it's wrote just in Italian by Carlo Pambianco. That is one of the famous, he's an analyst of the fashion industry. That he was in the past was a marketing man of Zegna. Was selling Zegna. Zegna produces suits for men and women, especially for men, very high-end suits. And they were selling in the 80s suits in Los Angeles. They had like a shop there where they sell things. And when Carlo Pambianco arrived in Los Angeles, he was shocked by the way the suits were presented. Because they were not hung, but they were put in the ground. And they had like some stickers that were put on the tie, on the jacket, on the trousers, on the pants, because they helped the American customer to build perfect mix of suits, because they don't know how to mix things together. And they were put on the ground, so they were much easy to see, how they were dealing with. So do not mix two different colors together. So a lot of rules that were invented by the shop there, because it was hard at that time for the American customer to recognize the perfect mix of things. Something that you want to do the same in Italy would be offensive. Sorry.
Do you find that the Italian market, they're willing to spend a lot more for a product than the North American market?
Probably not right now, but it's very demanding anyhow. Even though they are spending, you have to give a lot of things. And that's because that's something, in the past, we were growing, our GDP was growing much faster, so it was a much big market. But right now, with the 40, there's a lot of companies, especially medium companies, that are exporting 40% of their turnover. So, global markets are very, very important right now. But, our customer base is very, very demanding. So, because we are acquainted to design beautiful products, so it's not easy to go back. Although you have to compromise a lot in terms of price, of course.
That's what I mean. Do you think they're willing to, are they willing to buy a $500 suit, whereas in North America they'd only be willing to
Well,
They
of
want
course,
full
there's a lot of certification in the market. But if you are going to spend, even for 500 for a suit, probably you spend much more if you want good suits. But even for 500, you want very high quality. Even you are not spending, $2,000, for a suit. Even for 500, you want high quality. At least in terms of fabrics, in terms of how the suit is designed. So, there's a lot of rules that you have to respect. I mean, for the male, especially jackets, the jacket has to be tight, has to be not too much long, on the hand, you can see a piece of the shirt, I mean, within the hand and the jacket. So, I mean, a lot of rules that has to be, so a lot of details. A lot of the attention is on details. That, from an external eyes are not very important, but from the internal, crucial. So the details are different. I mean, they make the product very, very different. Even though the cost is pretty much the same. And then, we can talk for hours, but, in Italy there are different kinds, especially in the male fashion, different kind of aesthetic traditions. There are the South that are dressing up very differently from the North. So, in the North you have gray, a lot of gray as a color, and you're not very tight suits. In the South you have color and very, very tight. So it's, in Naples especially, where there's a very important tradition for the male fashion, it's totally different from Milan, that has a totally another tradition. This goes back to very historical roots, to the French Revolution, pretty much.